you think about the exploitation of minerals, the way that a lot of our things in our everyday amenities get to us over here in the U.S.? Cell phones, cars, clothing, and a lot of other things.
Yeah, I know somewhat about the materials that is in all the electronics that we use.
Okay. And aside from blood diamonds, I know there are a lot of mainstream movies that talk about it, but what other items do you think get imported from these other developing nations?
There's tin and coltan and something else I forgot from the Congo that is taken through work that's done by children's soldiers, and that's brought over here as well to be used in laptops and cell phones and such.
My name is Chuck, and I'm from Tibet. I feel it's wrong for American corporations to basically benefit from like in China, they have cheap labor, and I think that's and then they benefit from that, and they actually and outsourcing of jobs is also one of the big things that America's doing right now in terms of getting cheap labor, and I think that's pretty wrong. They should probably pay them the same wage that they do over here, but they don't.
Yeah, there's been a history of the developed countries exploiting the underdeveloped countries through mining raw materials. What comes to mind is De Beers, the British company. They've mined in Namibia, South Africa, and they also mine in Canada, but I'm not going to mention that. Yeah. Okay. And but during the 20th century, they had a monopoly on the diamond mining industry, and they did anything they wanted. They had inhumane practices with the workers in Namibia, and they had just had a monopoly on the diamond industry. And there's also been other...
At least I believe that a lot of it stems from outsourcing from industrialized nations such as the United States and the Western Hemisphere. And they go there, they set up factories, and they have these unstable conditions where they use all these different things, whether it's biopower. They usually try to use women, and they exploit them for cheap labor because they know that the minimum wage is different over there. It's a lot cheaper, and instead of trying to be fair and better the lives that they can, they decide to get that excess profit and continue to have them in these, whether it's the compounds or, these confines and boarding houses and, schools, you might call them, that they force them to, produce their products.
Knowing about this, do you feel that your morals take a toll in any way?
Yeah, because I know when I'm using my laptop, when I'm using my cell phone, the fact that I need a new cell phone and that I'm looking for a new cell phone, every cell phone that I see has materials that have been exploited by others. People are getting raped and hurt and pushed into different situations just for the materials that we need in everyday life.
Personally, I didn't really know too much. This is really new to me. So, I mean, now when I think about it, maybe when I think about buying a new cell phone, maybe I'll think about all the,
Yeah, it would be great if that doesn't happen, but I would feel morally challenged about everything that I use, the TV, my clothes, because most of it is not made in the United States. It's made in third world countries, and they're exploiting labor. Maybe for good for the country, but maybe not good for the individual of the country.
I don't feel okay having the materials, especially if they're not necessities. So there's a few things that aren't necessities that people use, and I think a lot of times the take-home message is, especially for women who are trying to do it to better their families, it's not that they necessarily want to stop the work, but they want to change the conditions under which they work, and they want to continue to get wages, but better wages, ones that they deserve for all their labor. I know that, there's simple things like Mardi Gras beads, they export those from China, and they have young women there, and they're ugly beads, and they don't even know the reason behind them. They don't even know what they're being used for, and that they're, slaving 80 hours a week for what?
China itself also, they're doing a lot of mining in my country, so what they're doing with my people, the Tibetan people, they're exploiting them. They're giving them, literally a cent a day just to work for them in the mining. So that's one thing that I've experienced.